Hello everyone and welcome back to another Minecraft update video. In this one we're taking a look at the Chaos Cube drop which was recently announced at Minecraft Live. This will be the second drop of the year and our first look at it is available now on Minecraft Preview Edition. Before we take a closer look at the Sulfur Caves and its inhabitants, I have some other news for you. On the Java edition of the game, it looks like we're getting 26.1.1. This is a release candidate to address a single bug related to chat messages and reporting them. The plan is to push this one out speedily. In fact, they want to get the full release out by tomorrow. And if you've been paying attention, you'll know what that day is. It's April the 1st. That's right. Tomorrow is April Fool's. And I am anticipating we're going to get another amazing Java snapshot. I will be on standby waiting for this snapshot to drop and of course covering it here on the channel tomorrow. So make sure you are subscribed, you're not going to miss this one. The April Fool snapshots are usually a treat. Okay, let's talk about this preview for the Chaos Cube drop. It comes with a disclaimer that the new features are still in development and of course they can change update to update based on our feedback. Speaking of feedback, they've already made tweaks and changes to the textures of the new blocks that were revealed at Minecraft Live. And we're going to see all of those textures, but first we start with a little feature that wasn't actually shown at Minecraft Live. On the surface of the overworld, you can find the sulfur springs, and it says that there are sulfur and cinnabar blocks here. I've spent my time teleporting around this world and I found over 10 of these, and every single time they've been made out of nothing but sulfur blocks. Anyway, their purpose is to let you know that down below there will be sulfur caves. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of digging here. As you will see, these sulfur blocks continue down into the ground and they're going to lead us to a sulfur cave. This is very much like finding an azalea tree and following the rooted dirt down to the lush caves. On the way down, it looks like I found some cinnabar. And eventually, we arrive in the sulfur caves. Here it is. This one, however, might be a little bit underwhelming. It doesn't quite look like the one that we saw at Minecraft Live. I also had night vision, so it's important that we remove that and see what it feels like with the regular atmosphere. This is much more enticing to explore. The only thing about this particular one is that we don't have any of those pools of water with the noxious gas coming out of it. And I've been teleporting around the world trying to figure out how frequent these things are and what kind of shapes and sizes they spawn in. I would guesstimate that they're actually quite frequent. You can find them every several hundred blocks. And the distribution of decent ones to naff ones are about even. So using spectator mode, we're going to check out a naff one. Like I said, it's kind of even. You find these quite frequently. They just take up small amounts of space and they tend to not have the pools of water with noxious gas. You can also see that this terrain will cut through mine shafts and change the walls of them to the new blocks. This next one I labeled as being pretty decent. It's actually massive in scope, but lacking those pools of water. And if we head on into this cave, you'll see it can intersect with the flooded caves. This next one was one of the best, and because it's on top of a desert, it had quite a few of these sulfur springs. However, when you find one of these that's under an ocean, you tend to not get sulfur springs on the bottom of the ocean or even at the surface. And if we head underground, I labeled this as one of the better ones because it actually had one of these water springs with the noxious gas. My time exploring the caves was limited, but my initial impression is that these pools of water are quite rare. And if that is true, I think they should be made a little more common. Let's now talk about these pools of water because that's where you'll find the potent sulfur, which can trigger noxious gas both on the player and to nearby mobs. So when I go ahead and step into the gassy clouds that we've seen here, we get the nauseous thing on the side of the screen, and then the screen starts to wobble. We get some dirty particle effects around us, and whoa, this is kind of trippy, man. As for giving mobs nausea, I spawned some into these pools of water and didn't really notice anything about their behavior or AI other than the particle effects. I'm going to go ahead and change to survival and then it's just going to come after me like normal. I'm not sure if this actually affects them or not. All of a sudden, we have way more particle effects here. That's because I've gone underwater and placed down more of this potent sulfur. This stuff will naturally generate in these pools, and it's what's creating the particle effects and giving the player the nausea. Earlier in the video, you might have noticed that we found a sulfur block at the sulfur springs that had a magma block underneath it. I thought this might affect the particle effects on top of it, but from this brief experiment, I don't think it does. And if you think I'm overthinking it, let me remind you that hay bales can influence the particles that come out of a campfire. I think it was just a coincidence it had a magma block underneath it. Next up, let's check out the sulfur cube. It has an amazing spawn egg, and I have seen them spawn naturally in this environment. They got some of their own unique squishy sounds as well. And something else they didn't show us at Minecraft Live related to the babies. You may recall if you attack these, you can split them up into the babies. They drop XP when you do that. And if you kill a baby, well, it drops nothing at all. The little ones won't hurt you when you're in survival. And if you got a water bucket, look at that, you can pick them up. Although it's a bit bugged out, it disappears. This is supposed to create the bucket of sulfur cube. The big guys are passive too, they don't come after the player. And that's true even if you attack them. They're basically neutral. However, if you turn the game to peaceful mode, they will disappear. And the whole bucket thing doesn't work on an adult, so it's a way to pick up the baby sulfur cubes and transport them through your world. I think that's a pretty good bit of game design right there. So yeah, pick one up and then drop it down somewhere else. Although, as you saw, it dropped down a full-size one. I think currently it's a little bit bugged out. Okay, now it's time to have some fun with blocks. It seems like when I'm holding one, they're attracted to me. They don't attack me if they get close. If I throw one on the ground, it will go towards that block. Well, as long as I'm not holding one. So it prefers the one I'm holding over the one on the floor. If you then want to get that block back, you can use shears on it. However, its AI doesn't return. Interesting. That could also be a bug. Oh no, maybe it just takes a moment. This guy came back to life once I held a block in my hand. So the other way to feed it is to just right click on it like that. So we'll go ahead, right click on it to get the block back. And that time it started moving straight away. Just in case you didn't know, you can't feed the babies, by the way. Oh, we got another squishy mob joining us. Now, if you watched some of the footage at Minecraft Live, you'll know that these sulfur cubes will take on the properties of the block you feed them with. I think they said that a iron block would be heavy. So now when we go ahead and punch them, they won't take damage. This is just their new purpose in life, to be punched and to slide or not slide much at all based on which block they've absorbed. Another property of the sulfur cube is that you can also just nudge it like so. Walk right into it. I want to see what happens when we punch it with the honey block. Ah, I thought it might be a little more sticky than that, and then the slime block will be bouncy, right? It's kind of sliding. Which edge of the block we hit it on counts as well, so I think hitting it at the bottom might send it a little higher up, and then hitting it at the top might send it downwards. With the blocks I've chosen, I'm not seeing much difference, but of course some experimentation is required. There is a lot we're going to learn about these mobs. Something we do know is that the amount of damage you would do to it gets translated into like how much push it gets. So with a netherite sword and a critical hit, it should go a lot further. This one hasn't though. Okay, I've got sharpness 5 now. Surely. No, there's no change. Now, that could be a bug, but it's also a very first time looking at this stuff. On the website, there are some clues as to the sulfur cube's mechanics. Like here, they've added something called bounciness. It doesn't say it's for sulfur cubes, but this is for elastic collision, which sounds exactly like what the sulfur cubes do in game. A bunch of knockback rules were added as well, which refer to horizontal power and vertical power. Also to check if it's immersed in water. I think the horizontal and vertical power refers to where you hit it on the sulfur cube and how that affects its trajectory. And by the sounds of it, water will change this too. This one's still swimming. That one with a honey block sunk to the bottom. And the one with iron immediately sunk to the bottom. When I hit it underwater, you can tell that its physics are definitely affected by it being in water. On the website, we also see a air drag modifier. This might apply to the sulfur cube too. Of course, when we get all of these features on Java Edition, I'll be able to do a deeper look into how it all works. And if you'd like to see me do some more experimentation with these sulfur cubes, I'm going to do a live stream not too long after this video goes out. You can find a link to my Twitch channel in the description box below. I'll be playing Preview Edition, checking out these sulfur cubes in greater detail. Next, we're going to take a look at the new block sets that have been added thanks to the cinnabar and sulfur blocks. I don't want to go down the wormhole of all the different crafting recipes, but an important one is the potent sulfur, which can be made out of regular sulfur blocks. It looks like you can make walls, you can make stairs, and then you've got polished blocks. When we make those, it gives us access to bricks and then another type of wall and stair. And then with the bricks, you get more walls, more stair blocks, and more slabs. There are a couple of other blocks somewhere in the crafting tree, but if we go into the stonecutter, we get to see everything straight away, including the chiseled block, and of course cinnabar has a chiseled variant too. The sulfur block clearly references the sulfur cube, and the cinnabar one here, some sort of ant or spider-like creature. This texture has spun up a bunch of theories that there's going to be a second mob in this drop. I think that would be really cool, and I like that they would have blocks that represent them. But let's check out the rest of the block set. I've laid it out over here. These are all of the cinnabar ones. And now the same thing for the sulfur blocks, all laid out here. Initial opinions, I feel like I definitely like the cinnabar blocks more. This color right here, it's not quite as appealing, but I imagine once you put it with some other Minecraft blocks, it'll find its place in certain build styles. With the cinnabar, I like how clean these two textures, the bricks and the polished, look, but then this one's got a real rawness to it that I think you could mix in with some natural textures. There's other questions to be asked, like their breaking and their placing sounds. Also, the mining speed of these blocks, can you instant mine them? There's also blast resistance from TNT, but these are all things I prefer to investigate in Java Edition. I'm just much more comfortable about knowing exactly what's going on in that edition of the game. So when a Java snapshot drops, we'll be doing a deeper, more detailed dive into this update. That's a great reason to be subscribed. I am now going to go take a break from the computer for a little while, and then I'll be streaming in the evening on Twitch, so I hope to see you over there. Alright, thanks for watching this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you tomorrow, probably with an April Fool's snapshot video. Bye-bye.